Hello and welcome back to the Games Kingdom. My name's Carl King and today we're going to be looking at a game that has just been delivered to backers following a successful crowdfunding campaign by AOM Games, and that's Empire the Board Game. I know this has been designed by Michael Vischer, and as I say, it's now being delivered to backers. It's August 26. I got my copy yesterday, and thank Michael for sending this across. I did some reviews on this, both a video, sort of quick overlay video of a prototype, and then we played the prototype both with the designers and thoroughly enjoyed it. Did a written review for Zartu and Everything Board Games, and in the UK Zartu are actually the people who are doing the fulfillment for Empire the Board Game. So what is Empire the Board Game? Well, it's, as you can see by the cover, a board game set in the glorious age of sail, where ships were going around the world to discover new places, new commodities, new people, and obviously there were a few conflicts along the way, but also a lot of trade and friendships were made between people who'd never met before. And obviously this game is based around that sort of period of history. So it is a game for 2 to 5 players. Recommended age is 10 plus, and I think that's about right. You can teach this game to both seasoned gamers and new gamers, for my thinking. It's not an overly complicated game. It's a very nice looking game, and we'll have a look at everything once we get into the box, but it's a very nice looking game on the table, and it's not overly complicated. I think the rule book's sort of 10-11 pages long, so there's not a huge amount of things to sort of get bogged down with. There's a few actions that you can do per turn. You go through your turn and then it moves on to the next person. So it's not one of those where everybody takes a go and then they come back and you do all of the actions together and then you do another load of actions together. This one is everybody takes their turn. They run through a set number of procedures that they can and can't do depending on what resources and money that they may have. You can skip any of those if you don't have it and just move on to the movement phase. So you'll be collecting money, you'll be spending money and tokens, and then you'll be moving your ships, and then that sequence will go on to the next player and the next player and the next player, and then it'll come back round to you again. So yeah, a very nice little system. As I say, we played a game with the designers and it went really well. It lasts about 35 to 120 minutes depending on whether you've got 2 or 5 players and how long it takes for people to get the different sort of tokens and commodities and money that they need to be able to build different ships and different strongholds and go around the world, and then you move up on tracks and an end game sequence is triggered. So yeah, this as I say, is not an overly complicated game, and one that we thoroughly enjoyed when we played it. So we're looking forward to getting this back to the table as a group, and hopefully again with the designers. But there have been 1 or 2 tweaks since my initial playthrough, so we'll have a look at the rule book in a bit, which is here. So as I say, it's not overly large, so depending on what backer you were, I believe there are a couple of nice little additions. There's a nice little bag here that you can keep tokens in. There is a very nice felt and screen printed dice tray. There's only a couple of dice in the game, so this is a nice little addition. The only thing I will say about this is it just slightly doesn't fit into the box, so as you can see you have to sort of poke a couple of the edges of the dice tray into the sides of that, but then that does sit quite snugly. Personally, I think if it had been made just slightly smaller by maybe 1 centimetre or 2 and sat flat on top of that when it's sort of de-studded and sort of taken down, because you sort of press the studs together to make that the dice tray. Yeah, that's the only thing really that I would have changed on This is made that slightly smaller so it didn't get that sort of couple of creases on these pieces here to over time maybe sort of make it look a little bit worse for wear. But as I say, very nice and a lovely little addition by the game makers. So this is also something that you may well have got a pack of Patriot cards. So this is like a little expansion that you can add in once you've played a few of this sort of base game. You can add these in for a bit of extra flavour and sort of mix things up a little bit. And it does say on here, get used to the normal rules and play the game a few times before you add this in, because it does change up the game apparently. I've not played it with the Patriot deck because they weren't available when we did the original playthrough and review. And then on the back of there, a nice little thank you from again the people at AOM and Michael. So yeah, it went through Kickstarter, and yeah, everybody's getting their copies as we speak. So let's have a look at the board. We'll just put this over to one side because we can put the board out and then we can show you that, and then we can put some of the tokens out on the board as well. So the board is quite big and does take up a little bit of room, but for that it does look quite impressive on the table. Now try and get this on camera a little bit better, so we'll lift this up. So yeah, it's quite a sized board. There's a lot of stuff to put out when you're playing, but the actual playing area of the board is not too bad. It's quite compact and bijou down the bottom here, where your trade routes and things are that you're going to be going through. So at the top here we've got areas where the tokens will be and placed when you spend them and stuff like that. And then at the bottom we've got the world and the trade routes. So that's that bit down the bottom there that you can see with all those lines, and where those dice are, that's the value of dice that you need to be able to move past that particular part of the trade route. Now you roll 2 dice for your movement. You don't add them together, they're singular dice, so you have to use those dice to be able to go past there. So for this example here, if you rolled a 5 and you were sitting here, you'd go 3, 4, 5 or 3, 4, 5. So it wouldn't be 1, 2, 3. You'd have to use 3 of your movement to go past this particular dice here. The same here as a 2. Then you've got 4s, 5s and 6s, and then as you can see, some of those lines go off the edge of the board. So there's a couple there that you can see, they go off the edge of the board there. That is so that you can come on the edge of the board on this side. So it just means that you don't, once you get to that side of the world, you don't need to traverse all the way back. You can literally go round the world and come out on these points here. But again, those need 5s to go through there and 3s to come past here. So again, you'll need to use at least 1 of your dice to move up to that, and then a dice of 3 or more to go past it. But once you get into the game, those dice, they come very sort of integral in the gameplay. There's a lot of routes on there where you don't need to worry about those, but they are dotted around quite frequently, and they do just sort of mix and match it up a bit, and yeah, it makes it a little bit more interesting, because you might get somewhere and get stuck for a turn simply because you haven't got the dice rolls, and then you'll need to hopefully get those dice rolls the next turn. So as I say, if you've got the 6, you can't add a 2 and a 4 together to get past it. It's got to be a 6. So if you're going there, you need to just be careful that although it's a quicker route because there's less spots to stop your ship and count across some of those dice routes, you will need, some of them need a 6 to be able to go, but there is only 1 space that you need to go past. So it'll all become clear once you start to play and you start rolling the dice and moving. Each player gets one of these small player boards, so you can see here there's spaces for different tokens, And again, once you start to read the rules, the placement on these boards, and as you can see, there's not a huge amount of spaces and things for you to worry about. So there's very little sort of things that overly complicate the game. So these boards are excellent. So you get 5 of those. As I say, you get a couple of dice, so 2 different colours, and then you get player pieces in 5 different colours. So they all came mixed together, so I put them into separate bags. You do get the bags in the box, so that's another little thing that the designers have thought about. You get the baggies, you just need to separate them out, which makes it a lot easier when you're playing a game. You can just hand a player a bag of blue tokens and yellow tokens and whatever, and then they are their components for the game. So they are quite nice. We've got all of these are the coin tokens, so there's coins for each of these areas, and there are little areas in the middle here that you can stack them. I tend to just put little sort of like silicone cupcake trays in the middle there, and it just holds those together. So as you can see here, there's different coins, and there's a coin for each section, so you've got different ones here, and they will all go onto there, and then you can get a coin every turn. You take a coin from one of these areas where you've previously placed a token. So as long as you've got a token of that ilk, then you can claim a coin of the same colour, and you can do that each turn, and then you get to spend these coins during the game for things like upgrading ships, buying new ships, replacing ships if they've been lost in combat. And then these are your tokens that will go out on the board. So there are some pirates that might pop out in the game, and then there are tokens with different sort of trade commodities and things on, and they will go on to certain areas of the board. Now normally there are some symbols on the back that are very sort of small and at first difficult to pick out, but there are different sort of makeups on the back. So I don't know if you can see on here, we've got one that looks like that, and then another area that looks like that. So around the edge of that sort of compass, you can see the different sort of symbology. It is, as I say, a little bit difficult to pick out at first, but you do get used to it. So there you can see there's like circles, and they represent the different areas on the board. So the same symbols are on these larger circles on the board. So here and here, and then you've got different ones. So these are all sort of like the ones that I showed you, where they're sort of like the circles on. So they just are different continents. So obviously different things were picked up on different continents, so those symbols will go onto the certain areas on the board. But there is also an option where you can just literally shove them all together, mix them up and put them down randomly, and then you can play the game like that. So that's another little sort of change up that you can do. But for the first few games, I would recommend that you stick to the symbols on the board and on the back of these tokens, because you'll go to certain areas and you'll know that basically in those areas you're going to find certain of those tokens, and you will need certain ones to do certain missions, certain things that you're going to need to purchase and move up on tracks, and sort of basically help you to win the game. So yeah, I mean, as I say, there are plenty of areas on the board that you can go to, and all of these different sort of areas here are obviously the things that you can find in those different specific regions. And then we'll come on to the cards. So there are 5 Admiral cards in the deck, so each player gets one of those. So you get to play those during combat. So when you're doing combat, it is a card driven combat system. You will play cards and they'll have different symbols and or dice numbers on, and that's the value, and you can play those cards during combat and they will determine whether you win or lose or draw the combat. So as I say, there's quite a nice deck of cards there, and the card quality is excellent, and as you can see the artwork has done a cracking job, and very thematic in the game. So you've got all of those excellent pictures of sort of combat going on, with ship to ship combat, ship to port combat, and strongholds. So you're not just fighting on the sea, you can fight against other people's strongholds, and you can try and take over their strongholds. You've got the Patriot deck that I spoke about earlier, so again, different card illustration on the back of these. So the main deck is that, and the Patriot deck has that. And again, these are cards that you will put in and use once you've got used to playing the base game. I'm not going to show you too much of what's on those, so it leave you to find out those things on your own. And then this is the mission deck, so there's quite a lot of these cards as well. So these mission cards you will get, and like this one, own a port or stronghold in every settlement of the Indo-Pacific region, own a port or stronghold in every settlement of North America, own a port or stronghold for every resource in one market. So capture or destroy an opponent's stronghold, so once you've done that you'll do certain things. You'll move up and down on this main track here, and if I remember rightly, the end game is triggered, as long as they've not changed the rules, the end game is triggered once somebody gets to the end of this main track along here. So yeah, it's as I say, it's a very nice little game if you're into the Age of Sail and those sorts of movies like Master and Commander, the old Errol Flynn movies. Then I think you'll be really nicely surprised by the nuances of this. It, as I say, although it is a simple game, it also can be very frustrating, because you might go to 2 or 3 different ports and you'll turn over the discs and they might not be exactly what you want, or you'll get to sort of try and buy something and you'll be missing one, and you're short of a few coins. So yeah, it's still a nice little game, as I say, for seasoned gamers to play. All the people in my group have been playing games for many years, some many decades, and yeah, we thoroughly enjoyed playing this on the evening. So it was a nice game, nice experience. So we're looking forward to getting this back to the table again with the sort of updated rules, the finished rules, and also obviously now that all the components and the cards and things have been done to an excellent standard, this will look really nice when we're playing at the next time down our club. So here we go, we'll have a quick flick through the rule book. So the obligatory little appendix there, you've got your components and your setup. So this just tells you again how to set those tokens out onto the different areas of the board, and it does show you the backs of each one of those and where they will go. So you've got North America, South America, Africa, Asia and Indo-Pacific. So, and then it'll give you what the players get. So they obviously get their bag of tricks there, as I showed you earlier, in their player colours. It tells you about the player sequence. So first off, as I said, you collect a coin from anywhere where you have a presence in the market. Then you get to spend and trade. So you get to spend your money and your tokens and trade your goods that you've picked up. Then you go on to your ship actions, where you'll be rolling the 2 dice. And as I say, so double 1 and then double 6. But I couldn't do that again. So that there you would have a movement of 5 and then a movement of 6. You may even have both ships out because you've got a normal trade ship and an admiral ship in here. You could split those between both, so you could move 1 5 and 1 6. You could move one ship with both of those and leave the other one alone. You might only have the one ship to move, so you'll use both dice on it. But each of those are individual movements. You don't add those together, even though potentially you're going to use them both together. So again, as I said, if you were starting down here on that space where I showed you the 3, you would move 1, but that would class as 3 if you were on the dice, so you would use that. That would start that off, and then you could use the next one. But once you get to a port, any movement and stuff, as far as I remember, is lost, and then you'll carry on, you'll do your sequence. You can use your purchasing, so you can buy stuff, as I said here with the spend and trade, and then it'll give you a little thing here to say that this is what you get. So you can buy your ships, you can buy a stronghold. Once you've got strongholds on the board, you'll place them down on these ones here, the way you can see the 3 points on the triangle. So I'll just quickly show you that. So as you can see here, some of them here have got these triangles, and that's where you'll put your stronghold tokens. And then once you've done that, that's harder for people to take away from you, and you will get benefits from that during the game. You've got your exploration tokens, missions, and winning the game. So that's all on up to page 4, and that tells you how to win the game. You've got your ship action movement, your ship action specials, and then you've got your market monopolies, and then your ship-to-ship combat. It runs through how that all works, and as I say, it's all card based and based on dice numbers shown on cards, but there are also some special symbols on there which will do certain things, either give you defense or do other things to your opponents. You've got your combat against strongholds, so again, even though you have a stronghold, you can still be attacked. And then you've got your pirate tiles. It'll explain what the pirates do in the game. You've got your reference here about how each different card works and what they do. So you can play the spy card, that will nullify the last card played. The admiral card, the turncoat card, so basically if somebody plays a card down and you've got that, you basically can play that turncoat card, and you will take the card that they've just played. So they could have played a high value combat card, you could play that turncoat card, and that will go onto your pile rather than your opponent, and that will come into your score. If you're attacking or defending, you can play that card. And then you've got the retreat and re-roll card, which basically immediately ends the current combat into a draw, and then you will decide between you, or one of you will decide if you want to start combat again or just forget it. And that's basically it. So that's what you get if you're buying Empire the board game. I believe you can buy it straight through AOM Games website. So if you like the look of this and you want to go and get yourself a copy, go over there. Zatu might also be selling it, I'm not sure. As I say, I know they are doing the fulfillment, but I'm not sure if they're going to be selling any copies. Excuse me. But you can certainly get it from AOM Games. I know Michael's got some copies for just that eventuality. It's very reasonably priced. If you want to check out their Kickstarter page, you will see what the Kickstarter price was. I'm not sure if you can still buy the tray and stuff like that, but I think you can get the Patriot deck. And then grab yourself a copy and have fun playing Empire the board game. So, until we do another one of these, it's bye for now.